Stepmom demanded I pay $800 rent, so I evicted her, her two freeloader kids, and took back the $1,200,000 house my grandparents secretly left me. Edit. Holy crap, this just blew huge overnight. Thank you for all of the recognition and support. I will try to answer queries in the comments. Also, to those who claim this is bogus, I wish it were, LOL. And yes, I have proof, but I will not disclose it due to legal concerns. Edit 2. In case you're wondering, I'm 22, female. My father is 46, male. My stepmother Tracy is 43, female. My stepbro Brandon is 25, male. And my stepsister Sierra is 21. Yes, they are not their true names for obvious reasons. Okay, buckle up because this is going to be a lengthy one. Seriously, get some popcorn or something because there's a lot to unpack here. I've been holding this for weeks and just need to get it off my chest. Some background information is required first, and trust me, it will be useful later. I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 8. It sucked, obviously, but we made it through. However, my father was absolutely wrecked, and he was scarcely able to function for the first year. By the way, my mother's parents are amazing saints and stepped up big time. They practically moved in with us to assist care for me while my father dealt with his loss and attempted to keep his business functioning. Quick remark regarding the house situation, because it will be very significant later. My grandparents were rather well off. Not very rich, but comfortable enough to purchase this massive 4-bedroom home in one of Boston's nicer districts. The plan was that we'd all live together so they could properly raise me. To be honest, that worked really well for a while. But then my father met Tracy, not her real name, but it fits her perfectly, LOL. At a business conference in Chicago approximately 2 years after my mother died, he was there to grow his consultancy business or whatever, and she was working as an event coordinator. According to him, they simply clicked. Tracy must have seen an opportunity with a sad widower who ran his own business because she practically traveled across the nation to be with him after only knowing him for about 3 months. And to their astonishment, they married after 6 months of meeting. Talk about red flags. Here's where the fun begins. Tracy brought her 2 children with her. Brandon, now 25, was 11 years old and already a spoiled brat. Sierra, 21F, now was 7 years old and wasn't too horrible at first, but Tracy gradually transformed her into a mini clone of herself. My grandparents tried to be kind about it, but I overheard them late at night discussing how they didn't trust Tracy. They assumed she was only pursuing Dad's money. Plot twist, they were correct. But they kept quiet for Dad's sake since he appeared joyful for the first time since Mom's death. The first few years were tough. Tracy began small with her BS comments about how the house was adorned. Old-fashioned, it wasn't. How the kitchen needed upgrading. It didn't. And how my grandparents were set in their ways. But then she became braver. She began moving furniture without permission. Threw out some of Mom's old decorations, claiming they were accumulating dust, and gradually took over the home. My grandparents were too nice to say anything, and my father was too love-blind to notice. Then the tasks began. At first, it was natural that everyone should help around the house, right? Except everyone became just me. Brandon was overly preoccupied with athletics. He struggled at basketball, but Tracy had Dad pay for individual coaching regardless. Sierra was too young despite being only 1 year younger than me. By the time I was 12, I was doing the majority of the cooking and cleaning. Tracy would literally inspect the baseboards with her finger to see whether I had dusted correctly. Meanwhile, Brandon's room smelled like a mix of Axe body spray and old pizza, and Sierra's floor was continuously covered in clothes she was intending to put away. Here's the truly essential part, which I didn't know until recently. Grandma died in 2019 from heart difficulties, and Grandpa died just 3 months later because he couldn't live without her. They registered the residence in my name, like legally. It is all mine. They must have sensed this drama coming from a mile away and wished to protect me, but I had no idea about it. Nobody told me. Dad was aware, but I suppose he didn't believe it was necessary to mention. Spoiler, it was quite crucial. Tracy evidently didn't know either, or she would have sought to get her name on the deed somehow. So, for the past few years, I've effectively been living like a servant in my own home, cooking, cleaning, and washing everyone's laundry. Yes, including Brandon's stinky gym clothes. While Tracy sat on her ass watching Real Housewives and whining about how I loaded the dishwasher incorrectly. Brandon graduated from college 2 years ago, barely. To be honest, I am very sure Dad paid someone off and he hasn't worked since. He claims he's trying to be a content creator. However, his TikTok has only 200 followers and is mostly just him executing terrible dance moves badly. Sierra is in her 3rd year of college, ostensibly studying business, but actually just partying and uploading pretty Instagram photos of her Starbucks cups. Dad pays for everything. Her apartment near university, which she seldom uses because she's often at home. Her car, which she has crashed twice, and her credit cards, which she maxes out every month. And there I was, working part-time at Starbucks, taking online classes, doing all the housekeeping, and trying to save money because Tracy kept implying that I needed to start contributing to the household. The day everything went down began like any other bad day in my house. I had just completed an 8-hour shift at Starbucks. Some Tracy lowercase k Karen yelled at me over almond milk. But that's another tale, and I was tired. But of course, I had to return home and cook supper, lest Brandon get up from his gaming chair or Sierra put down her phone. I'm in the kitchen making this spaghetti recipe I discovered on TikTok, not gonna lie. And Tracy walks in dressed in one of her apparently beautiful dresses. I'm pretty sure it came from Ross, but whatever. She has this look on her face that you recognize, like when a teacher notices you passing notes in class. Yes, that one. She takes a seat at the kitchen island and keeps a close eye on me while I prepare. I'm already on edge since she constantly finds something to complain about in my food. Last week there was an excess of garlic, which is practically impossible. The previous week it was excessively hot. Then she lays the bombshell on me. We need to have a serious discussion about your living situation. I'm like, what living situation? I have been here longer than you, lady. But she continues. Your father and I have been chatting, and we believe it is time you started paying rent. After all, you're working now, so it's not fair for you to live here for free while we cover all of your bills. Y'all. This woman's boldness. I'm genuinely standing there, wooden spoon in hand, sauce probably burning, trying to digest this BS. Meanwhile, I can hear Brandon upstairs yelling about his KD ratio and COD while Sierra's TikTok sounds are coming from the living room. So, I ask her, trying not to raise my voice because I'm petty but not foolish. What about Brandon and Sierra? Are they also paying rent? She does this thing where she dabs her mouth with a handkerchief even though she hasn't eaten anything, which she learned from Real Housewives, I swear to God. Then she hits me with, well, that is different. They are my children, and they are still establishing themselves in life. Brandon is pursuing his content creation job, and Sierra is concentrating on her education. I almost laughed out loud. Brandon's content creation career consists of lip-syncing to popular songs and playing Fortnite on Twitch for a total of 3 viewers, one of which is most likely his mother and the other an alt account. And Sierra's studies? The girl hasn't opened a textbook since freshman year orientation. But here's when it gets good. Tracy begins to set out her realistic rent requirements. $800 per month in this economy, plus utilities, with the expectation that I continue to assist around the house. I'm standing there stirring the pasta sauce when something inside me snaps. You know that scene in movies where everything goes silent and clear? It was like that. All the years of being treated like Cinderella, all the snarky remarks, all the extra duties, all the times I had to wash Brandon's crusty gym socks or pick up Sierra's fake lashes from the bathroom floor. It all hit me at once. So I turn off the burner. Safety first. I set down the spoon and stared Tracy dead in her over-Botoxed expression. Let me get this straight, I say, my voice unusually calm. Brandon, who hasn't earned a single dollar since graduation and spends his days yelling at 12-year-olds on Xbox, doesn't have to pay rent. Sierra, who maxes out her credit cards buying Sheen hauls and has never touched a vacuum in her life, doesn't have to pay rent. But I do? Tracy's face twitches strangely, which is most likely due to Botox interfering with her facial muscles. She starts talking about how I'm more established, how family helps family, and other nonsense she undoubtedly saw in a Facebook mom group. That was when I decided to detonate my own bomb. But first, I summoned everyone to the dining room. I told Tracy I wanted to talk about this with the family, since her favorite thing is pretending we're some united front when it's convenient for her. Brandon complained about leaving his game, while Sierra behaved as if getting off the couch was physical torment. But gradually, everyone was seated at the table. I didn't mind that the pasta was getting cold by this point. I'd already lost my appetite. Tracy begins explaining her plan to everyone, treating us all like employees while she acts like the CEO. Brandon is smirking, most likely thinking about how he can spend his allowance on more V-Bucks now that I'll be paying bills. Sierra is capturing everything for her private story. The girl loves drama as long as it doesn't involve her. And that is when I did it. That's when I spoke the words that altered everything. I'm not paying rent because this house belongs to me. The hush that followed. Oh my God, I wish I had recorded it, folks. I wish I had a photo of their faces. It was as if I had just spoken in an alien language. Brandon literally stopped in the middle of his bite, his fork hanging there and spaghetti falling back into his plate. Gross. Sierra's jaw actually dropped, and it was the first genuine look I had seen on her face since she discovered filters. But Tracy, oh man, Tracy's reaction was priceless. You know the loading wheel that appears when your computer freezes? That was her face. Her brain seemed unable to process what I had just said. Then they all began laughing, like full-fledged hysterical laughter. Good one, Brandon snorts, pasta sauce dripping down his chin. Did you get that off TikTok or something? Sierra has already pulled out her phone, undoubtedly thinking this would be wonderful content for her Relatable Family Moments series, which has about 50 followers tops. Tracy is also attempting to laugh, but I can tell that panic is setting in. She has that face she gets when her credit card is refused at Nordstrom Rack, which happens more frequently than you might imagine. What are you talking about? She attempts to be dismissive, but her voice shakes. This house is mine and your father's. This is where things start to get good. I simply recline back in my chair, attempting to exude that calm villain energy and say, "Why don't you call and ask Dad?" Tracy's fake nails begin pounding on her iPhone screen so quickly that I thought she might crack it. I kind of hoped she would, since guess who'd have to go get it fixed? Not me. She puts it on speaker like she always does. She loves an audience when she believes she's about to win an argument. The phone rings several times before Dad answers. He sounds tired, possibly because he was working while his stepson was developing his brand or something. Tracy's voice is pleasant and phony when she says, "Mark?" as if she's trying to get an upgrade at a hotel. Lucy is telling some interesting stories about the house. She says it belongs to her. That's not true, right? The silence that followed? Deafening. You could literally hear my father clearing his throat, the way he does when he's uncomfortable. He does it frequently around Tracy. Then finally, well, actually, my in-laws put the house in Lucy's name before they passed away. Boom. Tracy's face changed colors more than my old mood ring. First red, then white, and finally this strange greenish tint I'd never seen on a human before. What do you mean they put it in her name? She practically screams now. When were you going to tell me this? I didn't think it was that important, my father adds softly. To be honest, this is a typical dad move. Not important? Tracy is standing up now, her chair scraping against the floor. You didn't think it was important to tell me that your teenage daughter owns our house? She hangs up on him mid-sentence. The phone hits the table so hard that I thought the screen would crack again. I hoped it would. Brandon is not laughing anymore. He goes pale when he realizes that the game area he told me to stay out of was actually mine. Sierra is still recording, but her expression has changed to that of a deer in the headlights. I can almost feel the TikTok drafts getting deleted in her mind. Tracy is breathing as if she had just run a marathon in her fake Louboutins. She's trying to remain calm, but I can see her hands shaking. Well, she continues, trying to sound cool but failing miserably. This has clearly been a misunderstanding. Of course, you don't have to pay rent, Lucy. Let's just forget this conversation happened. But here's something I didn't want to forget. I was done forgetting all the nonsense they had put me through over the years. Done being the family doormat. Done being the maid in my own house. I'm tired of them living rent-free in my house and treating me like a personal maid. So I simply smile and say, "Oh, we're definitely not forgetting this conversation." In fact, I pause for dramatic effect. What can I say? I've learned from the best. I think it's time we had a serious discussion about your living situation. Tracy's terrified expression? Better than any Christmas present I have ever received. But wait, it gets even better. Because while they're all sitting there processing their new reality, I can hear Tracy's phone vibrating with texts from my father. She is ignoring it, but I know exactly what is going on. He's undoubtedly panicking and texting her about all the legal paperwork my grandparents left, which proves everything I've just said. Okay, so after the nuclear dinner scene, I went to bed feeling really good about myself. Have you ever felt empowered after confronting a high school bully? That's how I felt, multiplied by 1,000. What about Tracy? Oh no, she was not done. Definitely not. So, the next morning, as I'm about to go downstairs for breakfast, I hear Tracy's voice coming from the kitchen. She's on the phone with my father on speaker because, of course. And guess what she is doing? Y'all, this woman is literally attempting to persuade my father to get me to move out of my own house. Here's the conversation I overheard, which I recorded on my phone. Because at this point, I trust these people as far as I can throw them. Tracy: Mark, you have to do something about this problem. Your daughter is causing problems. Dad, sounding exhausted: What do you want me to do, Tracy? Tracy: What about the out-of-state institutions she applied to? You could persuade her to attend one of them. Tell her that it will benefit her independence. I swear to God, the chutzpah this woman has. She's actually out here trying to ship me off to another state so she can continue to live in my house rent-free. But wait, it gets better. Dad says, I don't know, Tracy. Tracy, in that sugary, honey voice she uses when she's manipulating people. Think about it, Mark. She's young. She needs to experience life away from home. And honestly, she pauses. I'm worried about her mental health. All this anger she's carrying around, it's not healthy. Excuse me? The only thing harming my mental health is living with the bad stepmother from every Disney film combined. But here's the part that really got me. He said, maybe you're right. I'll talk to her about moving out for college. It might be better for everyone. I literally had to bite my fist to stop myself from screaming. My own father, whom I've lived with my entire life, who I cared for after Mom died, and who I cooked and cleaned for, has just agreed to try to push me out of my own home. So, I did what any reasonable person would do. I walked into the kitchen as if I had not heard anything. Tracy almost dropped her phone when she saw me. She was still in her silk robe, probably fake like everything else about her, holding her world's best mom coffee mug, which Brandon and Sierra bought for her at the dollar store for Mother's Day. And she acts like it's fine china. Good morning, sweetie, she says, as if she isn't trying to get rid of me. I made coffee. First of all, she did not make coffee. She loaded a K-cup into the Keurig I purchased with my Starbucks money. Second, sweetie? Since when? Brandon stumbles in looking like a zombie, presumably up all night streaming to his 3 viewers, and Sierra follows shortly after, already fully camera ready. It takes her 2 hours every morning. I kid you not. We're all sitting there having breakfast, which I made. Tracy doesn't know how to cook anything that doesn't come from a microwave. And the tension is so strong you could cut it with a knife. Brandon shovels cereal into his mouth while scrolling through TikTok. Sierra takes pictures of her untouched avocado toast for Instagram, and Tracy pretends to read emails on her phone. But I can tell she's actually looking up how to evict someone who owns your house. Tracy, you're not very subtle with the phone angle. That's when I start to have fun. Hey, Tracy, I say casually. I was thinking about what you said yesterday about rent. She perks up like a meerkat, undoubtedly expecting me to back down. I suppose you're right. People should pay rent to live here. The relief on her face lasts only about 2 seconds before I drop the bomb. So, I've been doing some calculations. Based on the market pricing in our area, I believe $1,200 per person is reasonable. That is $3,600 for you, Brandon, and Sierra. Of course, that excludes utilities. Oh, and there will be a security deposit. Chaos, total chaos. Brandon literally chokes on his frosted flakes while Sierra's avocado toast lands face down on her new white crop top. Karma is real, people. And Tracy looks like she's about to pass out. You can't be serious, she sputters. We are family. Oh, I am dead serious. And since you care about family, I say as I take out my phone, where I have the recording of her morning conversation with Dad queued up. Let's talk about your little plot to ship me off to college. Brandon and Sierra are looking between us like they're watching a tennis match, and the color drains from Tracy's cheeks so quickly I think she might faint. So, after I play the recording of Tracy's phone call, things get crazy, like Jerry Springer crazy. Tracy shoots up from her chair so quickly that she knocks over her treasured World's Best Mom cup, which fortunately does not break. She's doing this weird thing with her face, trying to look angry, but her Botox is fighting back, and it's actually kind of funny. You recorded me? She screeches. That's illegal. I simply smile and say, actually, we live in a one-party consent state. I checked. Also, my house, my rules. Brandon is just sitting there with his mouth open, milk dripping down his chin. I guess this guy never learned how to eat properly. Sierra is frantically texting someone, most likely her TikTok group chat, where she pretends to be wealthy and unbothered. Tracy begins pacing around the kitchen, her knockoff Gucci slides making that annoying flip-flop sound on the tile floor that I cleaned yesterday. She's muttering something about calling her lawyer cousin. You know, the one who supposedly specializes in real estate law but actually only handles DUI cases in some strip mall office. Then she takes a different approach. Her voice becomes quiet and concerned, like she's trying to secure a refund without a receipt. Lucy, I understand you're upset, but this behavior, yeah, it's unhealthy. Your father and I are only trying to help you. Perhaps some time away would be beneficial for you. There's this beautiful college in Michigan. I cut her off right then. Tracy, let me make something very clear. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. The deed is in my name, and if anyone's going to be leaving, it won't be me. That was when she lost it completely. You ungrateful little... I won't repeat what she called me, but let's just say it wasn't very world's best mom of her. She begins ranting about how she raised me as if I were her own, by which she apparently means making me their maid. How she gave up everything to be a good stepmother by shopping at TJ Maxx instead of Nordstrom. And how I'm ripping this family apart. What family? Meanwhile, Brandon and Sierra are having their own meltdowns. Brandon. This is bullshit. I'm not paying rent. I'm about to blow up on Twitch. Narrator. He was not about to blow up on Twitch. Sierra is screaming, Daddy won't let you do this. He loves us more than this stupid house. Spoiler alert, he does not. I just sit there sipping my coffee, which I made because Tracy still doesn't know how to use the French press, and watch them unravel. It's like every ounce of entitlement and privilege they've been hoarding is finally bursting out. Tracy then pulls out her trump card. At least she thinks it's a trump card. She grabs her phone and calls my father again, undoubtedly expecting him to rush home and fix everything like he always does. But plot twist, I've been messaging Dad all morning. I sent him the recording. I explained everything. For the first time in his life, Dad is actually backing me up. Kind of. In his own weak way, but still. When he answers, she puts him on speaker. Again. "Mark, you need to come home right now. Your daughter is out of control," Tracy screams. Dad, surprisingly firm this time. "Tracy, we need to respect that it's her house. Maybe we should start looking for a new place." The silence that follows? Oh, my God. You could hear Brandon's 3 brain cells trying to process this betrayal. Tracy's face does a full emotional slideshow. Shock, rage, disbelief, and finally, fear. Real fear. Because it's finally sinking in that she is about to lose everything. The comfortable life, the free ride, the power trip she's been on for years. This is when she makes her worst mistake. She turns toward me, gets right in my face, and says, "Listen here, you little bitch. I don't care whose name is on the deed. This is my house. I've lived here for 12 years, and no spoiled brat is going to kick me out. I will make your life hell." Perfect. Just perfect. Because guess what? I've also been recording this entire conversation. Not only that, but I had already spoken with a lawyer. Thank you, r/legal advice, for the recommendations. It turns out that threatening the legal owner of your residence is not a good idea. Who knew? Okay, remember how I mentioned speaking with a lawyer? Best decision ever? Turns out my grandparents did more than simply transfer the house into my name. They also set up the entire legal structure. Trusts, estate planning, all that. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the terms, but basically, it prevents anyone from contesting it. My lawyer actually laughed when she saw Tracy's legal threats in the texts I showed her. But let me back up a little. The day after Tracy's meltdown in the kitchen, I went nuclear. I served them all with legitimate eviction notices, including official court paperwork. Tracy's facial expression when she was served? Priceless. She tried to refuse to take the documents, but apparently, that's not how it works. Again, thank you, Reddit. Brandon's reaction was exactly what you'd expect. He threw his gaming chair down the stairs, breaking it. Elmo karma. Sierra had a full Instagram Live tantrum. Congratulations to her for gaining almost 200 followers out of it. And Tracy? Oh man, Tracy went completely off the rails. First, she tried to contact every single lawyer in town. But here's the thing with small-town lawyers. Everyone knows each other. And after the first couple told her she had no case, word spread. Even her DUI cousin refused to touch it. Then she tried the social media route. She posted this long, dramatic Facebook status about how her ungrateful stepdaughter was trying to make her family homeless. But that backfired when one of my mom's old friends commented with a calm paragraph about how Tracy had treated me over the years, complete with receipts. Side note, shout out to my mom's friend, Elise, who has been saving screenshots of Tracy's BS for years. The hero we didn't know we needed. Best part? Tracy's expensive country club friends started distancing themselves. Turns out, they don't like associating with people who are about to be homeless. Funny how that works. Meanwhile, Brandon and Sierra are going through their own crises. Brandon finally realizes that being a content creator isn't a career when you have 247 followers and your main content is Fortnite clips. He tries applying for actual jobs, but professional gamer, self-employed, doesn't look great on a resume. Sierra's sorority friends find out about everything because she overshares on her private story, which has around 200 people in it. Now they're all talking about how her luxury bags are probably fake and her dad isn't actually rich. She's having a full-on identity crisis. But the real drama starts when Tracy attempts her final desperate move. She waits until I'm at work one day before deciding to reorganize some things in the house. By reorganize, I mean, she tries to take some of my mother's old jewelry that my grandparents left for me. Unfortunately for her, I had already installed surveillance cameras after serving the eviction notices. Again, thanks, Reddit. I catch her on video trying to slip my mom's antique necklaces into her tacky Michael Kors purse. I call the cops. I file a report. I show them the footage. Tracy tries to explain to the officer that she was just moving jewelry that didn't belong to me yet. Her fake tears aren't working this time, probably because her waterproof mascara doesn't even run. The officer, an older woman who clearly has zero patience for this nonsense, takes one look at the footage and is not having it. especially when Tracy tries to play the but family card. Attempting to steal from the legal owner of this house isn't a family matter, the officer says. I haven't filed criminal charges yet because having this on record for the eviction case is actually more useful. My lawyer is delighted. Speaking of the eviction, remember how Tracy used to brag about her investment accounts and how she was independently wealthy before dating my father? Yeah, turns out that was all BS. She has nowhere to go and is in full-blown panic mode. She tries calling my father's sister for help, but my aunt, who never liked Tracy to begin with, just sends her a link to apartment listings in the sketchy part of town. I feel a tiny bit bad for about 5 seconds, until I remember that Tracy once accidentally donated my mom's Christmas ornaments to Goodwill. The worst part? My father finally grows a spine. Kind of. He tells Tracy that if she doesn't leave peacefully, he won't be leaving with her. Turns out even he is tired of her toxic BS after 12 years. I'll let you know when they move out, I told my lawyer. Final update before the final update. After the whole jewelry theft attempt, Tracy realizes she is in real trouble. But of course, she has to make the most dramatic exit imaginable. The day before the final eviction deadline, she calls a family meeting, which is hilarious because at this point, what family? She walks in wearing this fake Chanel suit with the wrong pattern, which she insists is vintage. She has a whole speech prepared about how she's choosing to leave because she can't live in such a negative environment. Tracy starts this monologue about how she's taking the high road. Like, when did getting legally evicted become an act of moral superiority? Then she drops what she thinks is her trump card. Your father and I have decided to move to Florida. We just bought a beautiful house in Tampa, much nicer than this old place. First of all, they did not buy anything. I already saw her GoFundMe titled Family in Crisis Needs Housing, which raised exactly $43, most of it from her MLM friends. Second, my father isn't even there for this grand announcement. He's staying at a hotel. Turns out watching your wife try to steal your dead wife's jewelry is kind of a turnoff. Who knew? But here's when it gets really good. While Tracy is delivering her faux elegant exit speech, the movers I hired arrive. Right in the middle of her, "This house was beneath me anyway," rant. These big guys come in with dollies and crates, looking at their paperwork. Tracy's face does that frozen Botox thing again. She starts yelling about how she wasn't ready and needs more time to arrange her things. The head mover, shout out to Mike, you're a real one, looks at her and says, "Ma'am, we have strict instructions. Everything gets packed and moved to your storage unit today. If you want your stuff, you'll need to take it up with the court." Y'all, she loses it. Full nuclear meltdown. She's grabbing random things and screaming that they're family heirlooms, including my mom's ceramic bowl that she tried to throw away last year. Sierra is freaking out because her TikTok backdrop is being dismantled. Brandon is panicking because he can't disconnect his gaming setup fast enough. But this is my favorite part. Tracy used to brag about her designer items. Vintage bags, expensive clothes, all that. As the movers are packing, half the labels literally start peeling off. Fake, fake, fake. While all of this is going on, I'm sitting on my couch, drinking coffee in my own house, watching them scramble. I post a couple of vague updates to my private story, and suddenly people from high school are sliding into my DMs like, "OMG, I always knew she was fake." Final inventory of items they try to take on the way out. 3 of my mom's necklaces, caught on camera. My grandmother's china set, also on camera. The nice coffee maker I bought with my Starbucks money. Every single towel in the house. Weird flex, but okay. The garage door opener. Really? But you know what? They can keep the towels. I've already bought brand new super soft ones that Tracy would have complained were too expensive, right before spending $500 on fake designer trash. What about the actual eviction? Absolute chef's kiss. They have to do the walkthrough with the sheriff's deputy. Pretty standard procedure, but incredibly satisfying. Tracy tries to claim that I damaged her belongings during the move. The deputy just points to my security cameras and asks if she wants to file a false report. She shuts up immediately. So, where are they now? Tracy and my father are staying in her sister's tiny two-bedroom apartment in the next town over. Apparently, it's not going well because her sister made this passive-aggressive Facebook post about ungrateful houseguests who don't do dishes. Brandon had to sell his gaming equipment just to put down a deposit on a room in some sketchy house share. He's currently working at GameStop, which honestly might be the best thing that's ever happened to him. Sierra moved in with her sorority sisters, but that lasted exactly 1 week before they got tired of her constant crying and drama. Now she commutes 2 hours to college from her mom's sister's place. Her latest TikTok is about being humbled. The comments are roasting her. As for me, the house is so quiet now, strangely peaceful. No more clouds of cheap perfume everywhere. No more passive-aggressive notes about how to properly load the dishwasher. No more 3 a.m. screaming from Brandon's gaming sessions. I converted Brandon's old room into my home office. It's already decorated with actual designer items because I can afford them now that I'm not feeding 3 extra people. Sierra's room is becoming my dream walk-in closet. Tracy's meditation room, where she spent her days watching Real Housewives, is now my yoga studio. Dad calls occasionally. He's still with Tracy for now, but he sounds tired. I think he finally realizes what everyone else figured out 12 years ago. He married a gold digger who isn't even good at gold digging. Was I overly harsh? Maybe. Do I regret it? Nope. They messed around. They found out. It turns out karma doesn't care about your fake Gucci slides. Final update. My mom's best friend, Elise, is currently renting one of the spare rooms. So I'm not alone in this big house. She's teaching me all of Mom's old recipes and helping me replace the things Tracy threw away over the years. Sometimes really good things grow out of really bad situations. Thank you for following this whole adventure. Reddit, you guys truly helped me stay strong through all of this, especially with the legal advice. You rock. Edit. Holy crap, this is the end. Thank you for all of your help throughout this wild ride. You guys are fantastic. Edit 2. Please stop asking me to post the security camera footage. I'm not trying to get myself doxxed, lol. Final edit. Yes, this is true. No, I will not prove it due to privacy concerns. And yes, I am in therapy. As I sit in this quiet house, cooking from my mom's recipes and finally breathing in peace, I keep thinking about one simple truth. This was never about just rent. It was about respect. About a girl who got treated like the maid in a home that was secretly hers all along, and who finally decided she was done being the doormat. They thought I'd always stay quiet. They thought I'd always swallow it, always keep serving, always keep cleaning, always keep sacrificing. But entitlement has an expiration date. And the day Tracy demanded I pay $800 rent in my own house was the exact day the clock ran out. They lost the free ride. They lost the fake luxury. They lost the house my grandparents built into a safe place for me. I got my home back. I got my peace back. And in a way, I got a piece of my mom and my grandparents back too. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in my shoes, would you have evicted them? Or tried one last time to make it work? Do you think the dad deserves a second chance after standing by for so many years, or is the damage already done? Was the stepmom always the villain, or did the father's silence help create this whole mess? And be honest, do you think charging them rent was fair, or would you have gone even further after everything they did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think justice was truly served here? Or is there still unfinished karma waiting for this family? Comment your take. Share what you would have done differently. And if you've ever dealt with a toxic step-parent or entitled relatives, tell your story too. You never know who might feel less alone after reading it. If you enjoyed this story and want more twisted endings, brutal karma, and satisfying payback, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Twisted Revenge Tales, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. This is Twisted Revenge Tales, where they mess around, and you get to watch them find out.